Large-scale medical interventions rarely fail because we lack clinical knowledge. They fail because of misaligned administrative execution. To fix that execution, public health administrators rely on a highly specific lexicon. Terms like goal, objective, and target might sound interchangeable in casual conversation, but in planning, they represent a strict, rigid hierarchy. We can map this hierarchy to show the descent from abstract ambition down to concrete action. At the top is the goal. This is the ultimate desired state. It is entirely unconstrained by current resources and often practically unattainable. Think of the national ambition to eliminate tuberculosis by 2025. That is a goal. Step down one level and you hit the objective. This is a planned, realistic endpoint of specific activities. Unlike a goal, an objective is evaluated strictly as a binary. It was either achieved or it was not. At the very bottom is the target. This is the most granular level, a discrete activity on the ground that allows administrators to measure a specific degree of achievement. So our massive goal of eliminating TB narrows down into regional objectives, like reducing incidence rates in a specific state, and finally distills into discrete targets, like a single clinic conducting 50 sputum smears a week. The central tension of public health is bridging that massive operational gap. How do you actually connect an unconstrained theoretical goal at the top to a measurable target on the ground? Translating pure intent into strict execution requires a formal sequential algorithm. We call it the 7-step planning cycle. The cycle acts as the conceptual architecture for public health officials, turning raw data into a resourced action plan. It begins with stage 1, analysis of the health situation. Planning cannot start until baseline morbidity, mortality, and demographic deficits are rigidly quantified. This document is a real-world example of how administrators view this baseline data. It's the survey-based scorecard used in India's maternal and child health nutrition strategy. Look specifically at the mortality table on the left and the color coding rules on the right. By indexing state-level infant and maternal mortality against the national average and coding them green, yellow, or red, administrators expose the precise gaps in care. Once that data gap is identified, we move to stage 2, the establishment of objectives and goals. This stage mathematically scales that overarching goal down into those actionable, strictly evaluated objectives we defined earlier. Next is stage 3, assessment of resources. This is where theoretical planning hits real-world constraints. Every intervention must map its available resources across 3 critical subcategories: manpower for staffing, materials for infrastructure and supplies, and capital for funding. Steps 1 through 3 take a theoretical medical problem and convert it into a fully quantified, practically resourced blueprint. Because the resources identified in stage 3 are inherently finite, administrators must make hard choices. That brings us to stage 4, fixing priorities. Under this protocol, officials weigh competing options and assign mathematical probability values to their potential consequences. Funding is then routed to the path with the highest impact intervention score. Then comes stage 5, write up formulated plan. This is the moment the parameters, the triage decisions, and the resource allocations from the first 4 steps are locked into a formalized document. In stage 6, programming and implementation, that paper blueprint must survive field execution. To keep massive public health projects from collapsing under their own weight during implementation, administrators use specific mathematical modeling tools, primarily network analysis. Network analysis breaks a project down into its component parts, plotting them sequentially to map out exact interdependencies and time values. There are 2 main variations. The first is PERT, or Program Evaluation and Review Technique. This is used exclusively for new projects without precedent, where time estimates are uncertain. The second is the Critical Path Method, or CPM. This is deployed for routine, repeated projects. The goal here is to identify the longest essential path of activities and figure out how to shorten it. Finally, we reach stage 7, monitoring and evaluation. Implementation without rigid evaluation renders all the preceding steps useless. Ground execution must be continuously measured against the exact targets defined back in stage 2. It is a mistake to view public health planning as a project with a finish line. The 7-step process is emphatically not a linear timeline. Its true architecture is a closed, continuous feedback loop. To seal data gathered during stage 7's evaluation phase, instantly rewrites the baseline metrics. This automatically triggers a brand new Stage 1 analysis. This loop is governed by a harsh financial reality, enforced through the Planning, Programming, Budgeting System, or PPBS. To ensure accountability, PPBS applies the zero-budget approach. At the beginning of each planning loop, the budget for every program component drops to zero. Future funding is only released if administrators justify the expense, relying entirely on hard monitoring data generated during Stage 7. Masterful community medicine is not about setting a permanent strategy. It is a relentless, iterative engine of planning, execution, and financial recalibration that demands absolute data accountability to survive.